Hello everyone, and welcome to MMDL Week 2 of our low tier Almost Any Ability League. My name is Kaz, your coach of the Neospatian Paladins, and this week we're going up against Smaster and his Crimson Chompers. My team consists of Ogerpon with Grassy Surge and Sword of Ruin, Garganical with Unaware and Magic Guard, Golisopod with Tough Claws Primordial Sea, Hooper with Beads of Ruin and Queenly Majesty, a Cyclozar with Aerialate plus Turbo Blaze, a Skuntank with Earth Eater, Vessel of Ruin, a Girder with Fluffy and Technician, an Electrode with Refrigerate and No Guard, a Primarina with Regenerator and Volt Absorb, a Simisear with Desolate Land and Protein, a Stunfisk Gala with Well-Baked Body and Levitate, and a Swadloon with Sturdy and Prankster. Our opponent's team consists of a Porygon 2 with Misty Surge and Sticky Hold, a Moltres Gala with Delta Stream and Aerialate, a Tyrantrum with Tough Claws and Terravolt, and a Scavalier with Well-Baked Body and Regenerator, a Holucha with Adaptability and Beast Boost, a Jellicent with Volt Absorb and Prankster, a Sandslash with Rough Skin and Water Absorb, a Munkidori with Sheer Force and Beads of Ruin, a Terropagos with Multiscale and Unaware, a Pikachu with Primordial Sea and Protein, a Clang with Refrigerate and Magic Guard, and a Reboot with Desolate Land and Sword of Ruin. First things first, this is an incredibly scary matchup. Previously, we've had issues with defensively with two typings in both Rock and Flying. And my opponent has one of the best rock types, offensive rock types in the format in Tyrantrum, but also two incredibly threatening flying types in Moltres Gala and Holucha. My team does not have a Holucha switch in. No matter how bulky I make any of my mons, I'm not taking two from that mon. If it's like a Banded Brave Bird set, since it's adaptability. Things that I think could come. I think there are 9 possible things that can come. I don't see Terropagos coming due to I think it covers too much of the same stuff as Porygon 2 does. I don't think Clang is coming. I don't think Reboot is coming. Pikachu is unlikely, but honestly it's not the worst bring in the world into my team, as I'm slightly weak to Electric if I don't bring the Volt Absorb Primarina or the Stunfisk Gala. Sandslash, I think, is slightly unlikely due to the fact that I don't have a whole lot of hazards on my team. I think I have 2 Spikers and 2 Rockers, as well as T-Spikes, but against this team, it's so offensive that it's going to be difficult for me to get up hazards. And then, yeah, against the team that I've specifically built, if he does bring Munkidori, I am kind of screwed, not going to lie. It just kind of clicks buttons into my team unless I can beat it with like Ogerpon or something like that. Right, let's get in. My team consists of Cyclozar with Focus Sash and Aerialate. We are Shift Gear, Endeavour, Power Whip and Body Slam with 252 in attack, 24 in defense and 232 speed. This is really good into my opponent's team. He's very limited priority. He's got a couple quick attacks here and there. He's got a couple fake outs in the Pikachu and Munkidori, but his main priority would be extreme speed on the Pikachu, and then like a Sucker Punch Moltres Gala. So I thought this was a really good lead. Immediately Shift Gear off. I can Endeavour stuff down that I don't hit too hard. If I go down to Sash, we got Power Whip, which is a good click into the Jellicent, and then we have Body Slam. With the Aerialate boost, we can take out that Holucha if it tries to come in on us. I'm hoping this can put into work. This team is so incredibly difficult for me to break, both with my offense and then deal with defensively. So if I can kill one of his mons and then potentially weaken another to be taken down, we're looking in a pretty good spot. Next up, we have Choice Band Sword of Ruin Ogerpon with Ivy Cudgel, U-Turn, Knockoff, and Rock Tomb with 32 HP, 252 in attack, and 224 speed with a Jolly Nature. I believe this is a speed creep for the Monkey Dory. This mon can just kind of click buttons into my opponent's team. There are only two things which can take 2 IV Cudgels, which are the Porygon 2, which takes them relatively well. If we get crits, it doesn't, and then Escavalier, which can take our hits for days and just kind of shrug them off. But overall, this is a really good offensive piece into the team. It's not very good defensively. But it just, in this format, the mon with its bulk just does not take hits. 80, 84, and 96. It is not horrendous, but it just can't live up to a defensive grass type. It has to have that offensive role, which is fine. I'm fine using it that way. Next up, we have Garganical with Life Orb, Magic Guard, Salt Cure, Body Press, Iron Defense, and Recover. 248 HP, 252 Defense, and 8 Speed with an Impish Nature. The 8 Speed is a speed creep in case the Escavalier wants to try and outspeed me. Salt Cure is a great click into a lot of members of my opponent's team, just to try and get some residual chip. And then Iron Defense, Body Press. I can Iron Defense up on the Escavalier pretty freely. And then I can start body pressing, recover to keep myself healthy. Yeah, I think this can be probably one of my better mons in this matchup. Next up, I really needed a defensive check to that Tyrantrum, and kind of to that Holucha. We have Eviolite, Fluffy Girder. We have Counter, Knockoff, Drain Punch, and Mach Punch. 248 HP. 8 attack, 252 defense with an Impish Nature. This guy dies to 2 Banded Brave Birds from a Holucha. So if he does over 50, and then I can counter, get rid of that mon. This also takes 2 Head Smashes from a Tyrantrum, which is really good for me, as I can Drain Punch, get health pack, I can Mach Punch if it's low, things like that. Knockoff is just mainly to try and potentially knock off like a Jellicent, or it's my main hit into something like a Monkey Dory, which is pretty cool. Next up, we have Primarina, Choice Specs, Regenerator with Draining Kiss, Moonblast, Surf, and Flip Turn with 248 HP, 216 defense, and 44 special attack with a bold nature. This is to try and take hits as best as we can, and also this is the 44 special attack with Choice Specs, I believe, so I can 2-co something. I think it's 2-co max HP Escavalier with Surf? Something like that. It's for a guaranteed KO on something. It might be 2 into like Jellicent, 2 Moonblasts into Jellicent, which would be pretty good. And finally, we have Hooper. We have Choice Scarf, Beat of Ruin, Focus Blast, Destiny Bond, Trick, and Shadow Ball with 242 special attack with Force Spadaf and 252 speed with a Timid Nature. This is just trying to break or potentially pick something off with that Destiny Bond. If I can trick something, a Scarf could be good. Something like an Escavalier maybe, or something like a Jellicent. We're looking in a pretty good situation. So we're going to get into the battle. It's a very difficult one, but hopefully we can pull through with the team we've brought. It just feels, I need my opponent to play badly, and Smaster never plays badly, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see you in the battle. Hello everybody. Unfortunately, we're going to have to do a post-commentary this week. I tried changing my mic settings using Google's recommended for the Blue Yeti, which I use. And then after the recording, it sounded horrific. Every time there was a silence between my words, which happens quite often, there was complete silence. So it sounded really trippy, and it was honestly giving me a headache. So we're recording it again. So we're going to go in with our plan lead. My opponent did bring just top 6, which is somewhat good for me, since we're not seeing a Monkey Dory. I thought Sandslash wasn't coming, and then Pikachu, it had a place, but I don't think it was needed. So my opponent's got that really threatening team, but hopefully we can pull this on. We're going to use our designated lead in Cyclizar and immediately get off a Shift Gear. as we see, the Moltres is 1, not Delta Stream, and 2, Scarf to outspeed me, and clicking a U-turn, immediately going at Jellicent as I shift gear. So I made a little bit of a misplay in this next turn where I just immediately Power Whip. I knew that a Will-O-Wisp was most likely coming off, and I should have probably just shift geared again, as there was kind of no real deterrent for me to click shift gear again, just to do more damage to this Jellicent. We did find out from this calc that it's max HP, max defense, and obviously it's a Rocky helmet, which kind of surprised me because I thought Power Whip wasn't contact, but I guess I'm wrong. So I made a bit of a misplay here. They are just going to be able to Prankster recover. I'm going to Body Slam, bait a Para, which I do manage to do, but I'm hurting myself more with this damage that I'm getting. We do end up getting a Para, which is good, keeping this low. I knew this will probably just recover up again, so I decided to switch out, maybe be able to Endeavor something down later with my 13%. So Cyclozar didn't really do what he needed to do, but he was able to keep this relatively low if it parries again, which is good. Unfortunately, he doesn't get parried again and is able to get a recover off as I go for a trick. Now the reason I went for a trick is I did think the Porygon 2 could come in, but I thought in this matchup it would be a Misty Surge. As Sticky Hold, I didn't really, it was good, but I didn't really see the major point of it. But stopping my trick, especially since I'm Scarf, will force me out, so this was probably a bad play on my end. So not a good start for your hero, but we can somewhat try and bring this back. So I'm going to be forced out into, I believe, yeah, Garganacl, as this does absolutely nothing to me. We eat that for breakfast. I believe I get on for 8 Iron Defense. No, I just Salt Cure for some damage, which is probably a better idea. I think I thought the Jellicent was coming in, so I don't want to just immediately body press. This comes in, and then I'm going to Iron Defense up on it, because I know that I'm most likely faster. Iron Head does 20%, so I can recover up as it goes for Swords Dance. Now, I think this technically was a bad play for my opponent, as this guard could 100% be unaware. And after the battle, he did say that he probably shouldn't be doing that because he found it was unaware, and then I had to go, no, I was not unaware, I am the Magic Guard set. So this ended up being a good play for my opponent, but in reality, it was quite aggressive and probably wasn't if I was that unaware set, but I am Magic Guard for some specific calcs. I think the Life Orb Magic Guard did really well. So we're going to Iron Defense again, as my opponent's going to SD again. I'm going to Body Press because in my calc it was saying this was a good chance to KO. Unfortunately it wasn't, as I believe this was, it ended up being like max attack, max defense, or something along those lines. So it chewed that really well. Iron Head doing the 35%, so I think I recover here. Got to keep myself healthy as he does switch out. He doesn't come back in for a while, but it does reveal to be a Regenerator later on. So not having any fire moves on my team kind of sucks, but I thought it would be well big body. But he hard called that, which is good on him. He's going to go out on Jellicent and he's going to threaten me out. We found out later this wasn't a water move, which is really unfortunate for me, as if I could just stayed in and Soul Kill this thing, it would have been really good. I probably should have figured out on this turn when it just, I don't know, paras and then switches out. Well, we'll find out later, and I probably should have realized it wasn't water move. So this, I'm just going to Move Blast the Porygon. Moon Blast would have been a 2-hit KO on the Jellicent, I do believe. Porygon teleports out into Holucha. The Mon that I have 0 switch in, so unfortunately I'm going to have to sack my Cyclozar to a Brave Bird. Small Battle Chip, and it reveals to be Leftovers. So here is both a good and a bad play that I make. I know that it's Leftovers, my Hooper guarantees outspeed, so I go into it. Goes Porygon 2, and I rip the Focus Blast, which is really good for me. Goes Holucha as I Focus Blast again and do mad amount of damage. clicks protect. We land again. If we do miss, it's really bad. And in my calc, he is now, I think, still within range, but it's very unlikely I get the kill. So I end up switching out into my Gog as he goes Porygon 2. As I click Body Press, I should have clicked Salt Cure. I was worried that it would recover, and since it outspeeds me, it would get that free health off. But in hindsight, chip is chip. I'm going on Primarina and let this thing get burned. Burned on this is not the end of the world, but it's still a bit unfortunate as we Moonblast and we do take out that Porygon 2. Didn't get 6-0'd. That's amazing. We love not getting 6-0'd in matchups that are not in our favour, especially when we're playing badly. Goes into Holucha, which I have 0 switch in, and unfortunately I sack Ogerpon. The problem with this is that in my mind when I did this, I was still thinking about the bandit calcs where, oh, nothing on my team has a switch in, when in reality, Gerda takes this pretty well since it's leftovers, and I should have gone Gerda. But I sacked my Ogerpon for no reason. Now, granted, it wasn't the best into my opponent's team, since that Escavalier would come back in with that Regenerator health, but I didn't fully know that yet. Moltres was Scarfed. Jellicent, even through a burn, if it burned me, I'd still kill it. But it was a wasteful sack that I just wasn't thinking fully, and I should have probably gone Gerda in this position, but I sacked my Ogerpon. Taking tons of recoil, and we're going to go Hooper again. This time I think Shadow Ball is just free into my opponent's team. He's going to protect to scout, and then he can go Moltres, which takes it reasonably well because of its high SPDF set. 27 is still pretty good chip. We are going to go Gog as he does U-turn into Holucha. Another situation, we have 0 switch in. Well, technically we do have a Gerda. I'm going to take this opportunity to click Iron Defense. I thought, because Brave Bird doesn't do, it is still, okay, don't get me wrong, it does damage into me, but I think I assumed he'd predict me going Hooper if he was going to fighting move me, so I Iron Defense on a switch into, I think the Moltres again, or the Tyrantrum, something like that. So I was like, I'm going to Iron Defense up, and this Agility, which 1 was a good reveal, and 2, now I knew that I was +2, I took its hits pretty well. He goes back out into Jellicent, I Body Press again, probably should have Soul Cured, and it forces me out again. I probably should have realised, hey, it's not shown a water move yet, it's probably not water move. We go Gerda, as he goes Holucha, and this is when I'm like, oh, I can take hits very well. We're going to knock off. This was a bad play. I knocked off in case the Jellicent came back in, but in reality, I should have just clicked counter and tried to get rid of this Mon. He goes this Cavalier as I reveal the counter. Bad plays all around. I'm going to Drain Punch the Escavalier, get a slight bit of health back as he Iron Heads and does absolutely nothing. Switches out into the Moltres, knock off its item so it's no longer Choice Scarf, which is good. Switch out into Primarina as the Hyper Voice comes out and does a huge chunk. With the burn, I am in range of getting KO'd. So we're in a somewhat of a bad spot. They're going to U-turn out. Not trying to risk because it needed a high roll, as I'm just going to Moonblast, and Specs Moonblast is able to 2-hit KO this Escavalier, which is amazing. But it's keeping me low with this burn. Goes into Holucha yet again, very little switch-ins. Here comes the Gerda, and now potentially the 50-50 of the game. I can, 1, Mach Punch and try and take out this Holucha, but if he goes into Jellicent, I get absolutely nothing off the turn, or 2, I can predict the switch and click Knock Off into the Jellicent. My play should have always been to Mach Punch this, as this was such a massive threat to me, but I ended up clicking Knock Off, and he was able to, well, first off I Mach Punch, and then I clicked knock, predicting the switch, which he decided to sack if it was just a Mach Punch coming out, and then clicked Brave Bird on my potential knockoff, taking out my girder and himself in the process. This is really bad for me, as now I have 0 Tyrantrum switching, and it's such a massive threat. I have to try and beat it with offensive Hooper. Goes into Moltres as I go Hooper. I'm forced to switch out into Garg as it goes Jellicent. Yet again, should have realised no water move. Go on to Primarina, reveals to be Nightshade. This should have screamed now. No water move. Its last move is Destiny Bond, because obviously Prankster Destiny Bond is just too good to pass up. We ended up switching out with a flip turn, getting Small Chip, going back into my Garg, taking a Fiery Wrath, and Salt Curing down that Moltres. Still a bit low. I should have ended up recovering on this turn. Instead I go back to Primarina, get Nightshaded, and I click Draining Kiss. This was another dumb decision for me. I should have just been Moonblasting, but for some reason I completely forgot that Draining Kiss is a contact move, so I'm taking so much Rocky Helmet Chip, and I'm spec, so I can't change. I get really low, I have to go Hooper as it recovers, and then it does the Prankster Destiny Bond. Right, it's just the Tyrantrum, full health, we don't know it's set, we haven't seen anything, versus a 57% Garganical and a 5% Burn Primarina that will come back in at 38 due to Regenerator. Up them on, but this just clicks buttons. I do not live a head smash. Head smash into either of these mons, just kill it. And then I saw something quite unexpected. It close combated me. We ended up living, ended up going to minus defense. So I thought, has my opponent just thrown and I won? No, unfortunately for me, it is a Choppleberry, so it does live. Which, as you can see, dead on 50, it wouldn't have if it wasn't Choppleberry. Shows to be Psychic Fangs again. I ended up switching in case it was close combat again. It will do minimal chip to Primarina. I can switch Garganical again, sack it, and then just have the most regen possible. Especially if this wasn't Head Smash, which I don't know why it wouldn't be Head Smash, but this was the only play I could think of. Going back Garg, dying, going back Prim, and then it was Head Smash, and we lose 1-0. I played terribly in this game. There was multiple things that I should have done in hindsight. I swear I did say GG. It was just he took it after he put GG. I swear there was good sportsmanship. Yeah, there's just multiple misplays that I made throughout this game that I really shouldn't have. But I do think this was a very difficult matchup. One of the S tier teams that I ranked in the power rankings. So honestly, getting a losing 1-0, I could have done a whole lot worse, and I was highly expecting that I was going to get potentially 6-0'd in this. So thankfully, we were able to make it into a narrow 1-0, and I think a very good match. Though I think both my prep and my actual in-battle ability was very flawed. But okay, we'll see you all for next week. We're going up against another S-tier team, as I fight, I think 5 out of the 6 that I ranked S-tiers throughout the season. We already beat Thriller, who is A, in my opinion. This is S, next week is S, so we'll see if we can claw a win there. And yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed.